So you bought some new speakers for your vehicle. You go to remove the factory speakers and... Wait, what? Where are the screws? The stock speakers are riveted in permanently? How can we go about removing these without damaging the vehicle? What is a key step to making sure that we don't have rattles once we replace these speakers? And how can we add proper threads to sheet metal so that we can use a machine screw and take our new speakers on and off as many times as we want without issue? Hey everyone, I'm Mark. Welcome to Car Audio Fabrication. Here on this channel, together we learn how to master car audio and how to design, build, and install our dream car audio system. Now, before we can start removing a factory speaker that has rivets like this, we of course need to remove our door panel. But you may be wondering, how do I do that? My personal recommendation for this is one of our show sponsors, Crutchfield, and their master sheet document. On their website, you can enter the year, make, and model of your vehicle, and for qualifying vehicles, they will help you determine exactly what speakers will fit. Determining what aftermarket speakers will fit takes more than just knowing the overall size of the speaker. Crutchfield actually analyzes inside the door cavity here to make sure that there's not going to be any interference based off the mounting depth of these aftermarket speakers. They also will show you the exact aftermarket speaker adapters that you need, and with a qualifying purchase, you get that master sheet document, which shows you step by step how to access all of the speakers within the vehicle. Like I mentioned, they are a show sponsor. They are a super cool company to work with, and they've actually helped out our community with a special offer that you can potentially use to save, detailed down in the video description. First things first, proper preparation is key. We are going to be drilling out these rivets, creating some metal shards, and we don't want those to get tracked into our tires or anything like that, so I like to put something down below the speaker on the floor to catch them. If you have a shop vac, that's also a good idea to catch these at their source. Now we're going to need a drill bit to drill these out. Crutchfield conveniently specs the size. In this case, it's 3/16 of an inch. You want the drill bit to be slightly larger than that inside circle there. A little something like this. Safety specs engaged. So now we're drilling out this first threaded rivet, and I want to make sure that I don't drill any further than that top layer of the rivet that's facing us. Usually it's going to be pretty obvious to know when you get through because this outer ring is going to stay attached to the drill bit. Now be careful, that is sharp metal. Use some pliers to pull it off the bit. So obviously we repeat this process on all of the rivets. In my case here, there were 4 of them, got them all drilled out. Now we need to get this speaker off the door. A quick side note, one of the reasons I don't like this riveting method that some of the OEMs use is it applies a lot of pressure onto this plastic speaker adapter. So I don't know if you can see it, but there is a crack that kind of radiates from there outwards, and there's a crack right here as well. There's a crack on this one going sideways. You can definitely see that crack. I won't be surprised if when I do take off this OEM speaker, that part of it cracks away. Now online, I've seen guys do this part of the process before and they use a screwdriver. What you have to remember is metal is going to easily scratch your paint or maybe even potentially make a dent on here. So I always like to use a plastic pry tool. That way we're not going to mar or scratch anything. And it does take a little bit of prying sometimes because a lot of times it will be kind of stuck on each of those. But yeah, look at this right here. Here's part of that plastic adapter completely broken off. It's held on right here. Oh, there goes a piece. There's a piece that broke off. This piece is definitely broken. It's only held on by the gasketing material behind there. Unplug our wiring harness here, but here we have our factory speaker. Next, we need to address how to remove the remaining bit of the rivet here. Now again, this is where I've seen people use metal tools like pliers, and they grab a hold of this and they're really wrenching on it and going back and forth. Again, not only can that potentially mark up your surface here, this is thin sheet metal in this location and it can easily bend it, which we obviously want to avoid. So that's why I like a different method here. On the back side of this rivet inside the door, it's mushroomed out. So part of what we want to do here is we want to put a piece of tape on from the back side like this. That way, when we do get this to remove, it's not going to drop and fall down into the door panel. And my goal here is I just want to remove a little bit more material from this so that I can squish it with a pair of pliers and then have it easily pop through the hole without ruining it. These rivets are pretty soft, so we can go nice and slow, and generally they won't spin. If you do encounter one that wants to spin, instead of using the painter's tape, you would use the vice grips. Before I start drilling, I want to make sure that I go really slow, and I also want to check behind here and make sure that there's nothing the drill bit can potentially hit in case I do accidentally go too far. All right, so once I've drilled past the depth of our sheet metal here, I can usually just take this, and again, being careful, I'm not trying to pry or anything. I just want to simply kind of squish this so that it's going to fit through the hole. Something like that. Once you get the hang of this, it doesn't take hardly any time at all. There we go. So we now officially have all of the rivets completely removed. Now this is sheet metal, and it would be ideal if it was much thicker so that we could drill and tap it, but it isn't. So we're going to do something instead to add threads. This right here is a threaded rivet. Basically the way it works is we're going to make the hole the correct size to accept this threaded rivet. We're going to put it into the hole, and then we're going to use a tool that will mushroom this on the back side of our sheet metal. Once that's done, we will be able to take a machine screw and use that to hold our speaker in place. Now there are several different tools on the market to do this. Crutchfield actually has one, and some rely upon just your own physical strength in order to do that clamping, whereas others like this one right here can be used with a power drill. Now if you're wondering what size threaded rivet to get, it kind of depends on the fastener that you intend to use to hold your new speakers in place, which will be mounted to speaker adapters. I like to use a fastener that's slightly smaller than the hole size they have here, which gives us a little bit of variability in the mounting, but of course it will still securely hold the speaker in place, and the head size is large enough in order to grab onto the flange. So for my application here, I'm using a 1024 fastener, which means I'm going to need the 1024 threaded rivet. These kits come with mandrels that allow us to use many different thread sizes. Now these different threaded rivet kits will typically have a chart which will give you a hole size based off the threaded rivet that you're using. So on my chart here, I'm going to do a 1024, which corresponds to a hole size of 7 millimeters. So I could use a 7 millimeter drill bit, but in this case, I'm going to use this special step drill, and I know that I need to go to size number 3 according to my chart. Again, I want to make sure that I double check and make sure that there's nothing that this bit is going to interfere with inside the door panel when I make this hole. And I'm again going to use the shop vac to suck up those metal shards. So now that we have this drilled out, I'm going to do a quick test fit. That looks nice right there. Now I have technically exposed new metal here, so I'm going to use a paint touch-up pen here and apply a little bit of coverage just to seal that up. And we're going to give that some time to dry. So now we can apply our threaded rivet. Now the drill adapter tool here is a little bit faster to do. I'm going to show this. Obviously you guys understand the hand clamp tool. You're just going to use your hands to clamp it together. But in this case here, I've got the 1024 mandrel loaded in, and I'm going to thread this on, and I want to make sure that the mandrel is out far enough that I can go all the way on to where the threads are just barely meeting the end of the threaded rivet. And now I'm going to put my drill in forward mode, and I'm going to hold the red body of it here, and you should see the threaded rivet get closer to the body there. Once there's kind of a little bit of resistance, I'm going to put it in the hole here. And again, holding the red body of the drill adapter, I'm going to go slowly until we feel the clutch slip, like that. Now I can reverse my drill, back this off slightly, and unthread it from the mandrel. There we go. I've used the step drill to drill out the other ones and applied paint. There we go. Now I've found that putting your phone camera in selfie mode can help with inspecting these just to make sure that they've flared out good on the inside, which this one has. You can kind of use your camera to double check all of them. This is one that I did, obviously not on sheet metal, but it should look mushroomed like that on the inside of the panel. So now we have a nice threaded hole that we can use for machine screws, and obviously we can take this on and off as many times as we want, and it's not going to be any issue. And of course it's a lot easier to service a speaker if need be, or to access other things inside the door. Another important thing I want to pay attention to is I want to make sure that these fasteners aren't overly long. I only need them to be long enough to engage the threads on the threaded insert. I don't want them sticking into the door panel and potentially hitting including a harness or, of course, the window. Now for now, I'm going to simply reinstall the factory speaker, but we of course are going to be doing a full custom audio system on this car here on the channel in the future. Now don't forget, to see tips and techniques for getting the best sound out of your speaker upgrade, you're going to want to check out my previous videos here on the channel that I will link on screen. Also, don't forget, next time you go to do a car audio upgrade, you're going to want to check out our show sponsor Crutchfield with their master sheet document so that you can determine exactly how to replace the factory head unit or the different speakers in your vehicle. You can also potentially save on that next upgrade. More details down in the video description. A big thanks to them, along with Jerry and the rest of the Patreon membership team, for making these videos possible. And as always, my friends, thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching.